So, what's taking you to Solitude?
A matter of great importance, my good man. Something to do with the survival of Mundus itself.
And what exactly would this threat of yours be?
Well, to get to that, I'd have to start where it all began, and it's quite a lengthy tale if I'm to be honest.
What the hell. We have at least a few more hours left in our journey. Go ahead, old man. Tell your tale.
In the beginning, there was nothing. Or rather, there was a lack of, therefore nothing. And with the creation of the original spirit Anu, the void came into nothingness as well, surely because the existence existed. As many may already know, the conflict between these two created the realm of existence, otherwise known as Aetherius. But this realm was a twisted mockery of the void, in the metaphorical eyes of Sithis, of course. How could something as daring as existence be so abundant in the presence of the first serpent? Was it some form of revenge of Sithis' fallen brother? Or was it perhaps something far more dangerous? Whatever the reason may be, the actions that Sithis took in order to end this mockery were clear. So much so that its fragments still scar Mundus to this day. This action came in the form of Lorcan, the third serpent. The only one capable of changing the fate of Aetherius, and existence as a whole. As to how Lorcan would end existence, well, that's fairly complex. But the idea was that he would convince the other spirits to create an inner plane of existence. One that would allow them to create themselves and make whole their own existences. The plan worked, and in no time, Lorcan had nearly completed his masterpiece. But his plan were not unnoticed, and soon the more powerful spirits came to know of his plot. The discovery would go down in history as the point to which we became bound to Mundus. But before came an even greater struggle, one of meaning, and what it meant to exist. This was the struggle that Lorcan would experience. A struggle that would show the serpent what it meant to love one's creations. And more so, why the destruction of everything was such a terrible thing. In essence, the beauty of Mundus changed Lorcan's beliefs. No longer did the oceans look as toxic lakes, or did the forests as artificial facades. And no longer did Lorcan think of creation as a stain on the endless fabric of the void. Rather, Lorcan saw life for what it was. Something that simply needs to be. Sadly, this change of heart did not matter to the other spirits, who had taken to calling themselves the Et-Ada, as the creation of Mundus had weakened them greatly, fulfilling what seemed to have been Lorcan's sole purpose. Without the previous strength that they had, the spirits would be unable to protect Aetherius and all its contents within from the encroaching hum of the void. Existence would cease, and none could change it. This is where the tale of Mundus and his creation takes a great many paths, but is also where I believe the outcome is to be made very clear. The void never did swallow up creation. The reason? No one truly knows. However, there are many hypotheses as to why, all of which typically end up favoring one deity over the other. One favorite of mine comes from the ancient Nordic legend of the Kalpa, a story about how this current world ends, every few eras, and is brought to its end by Alduin, the World Eater, only to be created once more after the World Eater consumes it. In this case, the belief revolves around Kalpas functioning as a form of stasis for creation, always resetting time and space right as the void comes. Though some see the cyclical nature of Mundus as a prison more than a sanctuary. Whatever the true reason Aetherius remains may be, many things come from it. Things such as the outer planes of the gods, what the Nords refer to as Sovngarde, and most importantly, you, myself, and all of the other things here on Mundus. Though from this creation and the subsequent destruction of Lorcan came far more powerful things. Tools, artifacts that even Sithis himself would fear, as Lorcan had been much more than he let on, and even in the strange form of death he experienced atop the adamantine tower, his power remained. These fragments of Lorcan would go on to cause massive tragedies, as well as some of the greatest triumphs in all of Tamriel's history. Though I think the most notable of these artifacts is the Heart of Lorcan. Originally tore from the god atop the old adamantine tower, Lorcan's heart ended up being thrown into the inner sea, and would eventually become Vardenfell, with the heart becoming the core of a massive volcano known as Red Mountain. This island, originally known as Resdane, would become the homeland of the Chimera, a race of elves that, through the guidance of the prophet Veloth, would be led from their ancestral home of the Somerset Isles and take the northeast coast of Tamriel as their own. It was here that the Chimera would meet their adversaries and eventual comrades, the Dwemer, sometimes referred to as dwarves. Though this tale did not end as happily as it appeared it would, as with the war to come, the sanctity and protection of the heart would be tasked by the Daedric Prince Azura to Nerevar. But the heart had a power, the power to corrupt, as with its limitless power also came visions of grandeur to those around it. All except for Nerevar, and in his time of need a great betrayal was done unto the king of the Chimera, forever dooming them to live under the curse of ashen skin and false gods. Luckily, the heart did eventually come to an end, as with the prophesied return of Nerevar came the destruction of the tribunal, and with it the heart, forever changing Morrowind and the potential future of our Kalpa. While on the subject of events that would have changed the history of our Kalpa, I think it is very important to mention the predicament that took place during the Interregnum, or as many know, the time of the Three Banners War. In this case, 3 Daedric princes coalesced to form a pact, one that was oblivion bent on recreating Mundus in the shape that the princes desired, but even more so, recreate every part of creation to adhere to what they saw fit. Thankfully, as many of these plans typically end, one of the 3 betrayed the other, ultimately ending in failure on their end, and the salvation for us. As to how the princes attempted this, well, it came down to one special artifact, the Heart of Transparent Law. A shard of Aetherius with the power to anchor down existence as a whole and bind it to stability rather than calamity. Though its connection to Lorcan as well as its true function in creation remains a bit of a matter of debate. Alongside these artifacts left by or connected to Lorcan, there have been a great many more left behind by this plane's creator, and perhaps those before them. Some of which include other world-shaping objects such as the Elder Scrolls and the Staff of Chaos, and even the great towers that hold up our existence, including one that even now clutches tightly to the fragmented pieces of time long forgotten. This then leads me to my current mission, or at least task. I have heard news from a friend in the Sigik that an ancient relic has been discovered in the ruins of an ancient Nordic city, Sarthul. A relic that appears to be of the nature I have discussed, and as for now is forcing me to make my way to Solitude to meet with a correspondent who will hopefully educate me further on a disaster that may or may not occur.
That sounds oddly serious. Had you told me the nature of your travels, I might have made sure we got to Solitude quicker.
Oh, no need. You see, I have a feeling that this problem is already in the process of being solved, and by one chosen by the gods no less. Though his tale is one, perhaps for another time.